In DC, I work for the federal government.
You're a former news reporter, right? Tell us about your news journey.
Well, I mean, I was always on TV. For me, I left because it was unsustainable. I could not take missing family events and having moments with friends over work. And if I'm being honest, making wages that I could have made more at Target.
That's
Ultimately, I was burned out. It's this trade-off. And so I admire people who are able to stay in the industry and who have been able to sustain families. And I'm still very proud of the career that I had in news. I mean, I look back on it and say I had some of the best experiences.
awesome. So we're here with Donovan Harris. He's a former news reporter, news journalist turned digital media communication strategist for the government. So Don, how are you doing today?
Doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing blessed and highly favored. Happy Sunday, okay?
Happy Sunday.
God. So you're from Atlanta, originally from the metro Atlanta area. You live in DC now. How do you like DC and what do you do in DC?
Yeah, I mean, I really do like DC. It is a city of movers and shakers. I saw something yesterday that said, have you ever met people who are just really involved on campus? And it was like everybody in DC has that energy of like highly involved, highly energetic people. So I do like it a lot. A lot of smart people, really great people here. In DC, I work for the federal government. And I've been there for a few months now, but I've had a pretty long career that's led me to where I am today.
Wow. Okay, that is so true what you said about DC. When I go to DC, I literally feel that energy. It's just so many like on point, just well put together people all in DC. It's like literally like I don't know, it's a good place just to like mix and mingle, I would say.
Yeah, it is.
Yes. Wow. So is the social scene different from Atlanta?
I would say so. I didn't go outside a lot at home,
Uh-huh.
I would say so. I mean, I think in DC, the community is very small. So, particularly around Black folk, like we tend to know each other and run in the same circles. Uh,
Right.
and Atlanta's a big city. I think geographically, like size-wise too, it's
Yes.
almost like a small town. And so, socially, I think you're right. I think that social scene is a little different. I think people do want to move and shake. I think sometimes DC does get a rap for being this place where people are like, what do you do? I don't necessarily agree with that all the time. I think that's an adult question you would get whether you're in DC, Atlanta, LA, like people just want to know.
Right. Like, hey,
But
nice to meet you. What do you do? Okay.
yeah, that's a
Uh,
question anybody would ask. I think people just repeat these things over and
wow.
over again.
Wow.
But I just think, the social scene is cool. Like, there's always something to do. I just got back from being outside at 1 o'clock in the morning myself. So
Oh,
I mean, there's always something to
goodness. Okay. I
do.
know that's right. Wow. Okay. I would love to be in an environment like DC. So I live in Norfolk, but just being in that environment where there's so many movers and shakers, do you feel like maybe that's elevated you, but just being around like so much greatness, like that's kind of elevated you to like even strive even farther?
I would say so, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a catch-22 to it. We talk about keeping up with the Joneses in life, and you don't want to kind of try to compete with people, but in some ways it can be a little bit of a push for you to be like, okay, well, maybe I do need to level up.
Uh-huh.
In some ways, if you do it in a healthy way. So I think it is good that I'm around people who have similar career goals and aspirations. And most of us who live here in DC are transplants. We're from other places. So most of the people I've met moved to DC because of work or because they want to pursue particular careers, be that in politics or consulting. So in some ways, we all want to level up in life. And so you kind of see what your peers are doing is like, well, maybe I can too. And I think if you do it from a healthy perspective and it's not like, let me put on for people, I think it can be
Mhm.
constructive. I think it can be an opportunity for growth.
Right. I love that. And you're a former news reporter, right? Tell us about your news journey.
Yeah, when I was in school, I mean, I was always on TV. Like from elementary school, I was the person doing morning announcements on TV. I
Mhm.
was waking up every morning and giving the Fickett Elementary Trojans the news in the
Yes.
morning. And we were live. We weren't pre-recorded, we were live. So I was on there every morning and then went to middle school and did the same thing. Doing the announcements live and reporting, so to speak. And then when I got to high school, my senior year, I actually started a news team with another friend of mine. And I think to this day, they still have that news team at my old high school, and they created like a pathway and classes for it. So I
Good.
think that was like a legacy I was able to leave in some ways. And then when I went to college, I think it made sense for me to pursue the career in television news and in journalism. And I wanted to be the hotshot TV news reporter, the correspondent. I wanted to be David Muir's protege. I thought I wanted to be like
Right.
that dude, so I left. I went to school in Ohio for my freshman year, and transferred back home to the University of Georgia, where I went to the Grady College, which is one of the better journalism schools in the country, particularly in the Southeast, and did all the internships, CBS News and local news internships, graduated, and then landed at a top 10 news market out of school. My first job was at the NBC affiliate in Atlanta. And then I went on to South Carolina and was on air every day. And so
Wow.
it was a journey. I do miss working in news some days. I mean, I miss the storytelling, the art of it. I don't miss the business side of it. I think, as you know, you have the news business, and that business side is what causes many people to leave. It is, if I'm being frank, the low pay, the long hours. And these are not secrets to the industry. I mean, we know this. But yeah, it was a wonderful journey. I met so many great people. I have some of my greatest friends are still news reporters and are still in the industry and don't have any intentions to leave. But I
Mhm.
left. But I don't regret leaving. I don't regret doing any.
Uh-huh. Wow. Okay. Do you want to share why you left?
Of course, yeah. I mean, like I said, low pay, long hours. The thing was, I used to love getting on FTV Live. And if anybody doesn't know what FTV Live is, it is the TMZ for news. And so
Hello.
it's like a gossip site for
I
news.
mean, tea for days.
T for days, I'm like, oh, and the news industry is small, so we all kind of know each other. I'm like, oh, no, now she did try it. She did what now?
Okay, run
I
that
would,
back.
so I would go on FTV Live like every morning just to get a pulse of like really the news gossip for the day. And so I would go on there and I would see news reporters or anchors leaving who'd been in the industry for decades. I'm like, these people had like careers in top 10 news markets, and they're leaving, and in their posts, like their farewell posts, they were all like, I have to leave to take care of my family, like I'm burned out, da da da. And I'm like, I'm 2 years into the business and I'm already feeling like how you feel now, 20 years in, this is not sustainable. It was unsustainable. I felt like for me, I left because it was unsustainable. I could not take missing family events and having moments with friends over work. And if I'm being honest, making wages that I could have made more at Target. If I'm
Mm,
if I'm just being frank.
right. Oh, yes.
Um, and so it's a lot of pressure. And I'm not saying pressure is a bad thing. I mean, all jobs have their pressures, but I
Yeah.
think particular pressure in the local news industry, and unless the business revolutionizes and changes, I mean, people are getting paid the same salaries today that they were getting paid 20 years ago, and the companies are still being cheap. There's not a lot of investment in training and development. It's how quickly and cheaply can you turn out a product.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
and you're expected to be an Instagram model, a serious journalist, a community advocate, and
Uh-huh.
citizen, in this role, and still be a serious journalist and pitch stories every day.
Right.
And so it was untenable. And then, when I was reporting, the lion's share of my time and I was reporting was in the beginning of the pandemic. I remember like going out, like breaking the news on the first cases of COVID-19
Oh,
hit South
wow.
Carolina. And so, as you know, like the world shut down, but we never stopped, when we were in the news industry. People talk about the COVID-19 shutdown. I ain't shut down nothing. I mean,
Same.
I
Okay.
mean, it was like, I remember when the pandemic first hit and people were trying to figure out like social distancing and like, should you wear a mask? And it was like, email, cover your face with a scarf. It's like, go out, cover your face with a scarf and stand 6 feet and take this PVC pipe and hold your mic out, from people, It, it was like, wow. So I didn't have this world when people were like, yeah, I was able to stay home and like bake cookies and cakes. Like I worked harder. We were doing live shots from our living rooms and trying to produce quality products from our living rooms and still going out and in some ways putting our health at risk to tell these stories. And so it was nonstop. And as you know, in news, you might say you work 5 days on paper, but you work 7 days, 24/7. And don't be in a market where you're on call,
Mhm.
because I was on call too in the market I was in, and yeah, I didn't rest, much.
Wow, yeah, that's
Ultimately, I was burned out. But again, the experience was
great.
one of the best experiences that I had. I'm still very proud of the career that I had in news. I mean, I look back on it and say I had some of the best experiences and stories that I could tell about things that everyday people don't get to tell.
Mhm.
Like we do have a first row access to life
Yeah.
and to some of the most amazing and wow things. And I can guarantee, like when people ask me what I've done, like I was a journalist, I was a reporter. I mean, people love to hear that, and they love to talk to you, and love to talk to me, about those.
Yes, yes. Wow. That is so true. That transitions perfectly into my next question. So, I mean, you're working in digital media communications now. Are the hours better? Is the salary better? Is it given like more, work-life balance?
All of the above.
I know
Yeah,
that's right.
I was just talking to a person last night at an event, at a journalist event here in DC, and she asked me a similar question. She wants to go into communications, and I said, had I stayed in news, if I was in news today, and was consistent and moved up, and maybe, for example, if I went back home to Atlanta and was a reporter on air, I probably could have been back in Atlanta by now, at a station. Um, I'm still making more now than I probably would be reporting or MMJ in Atlanta and what I do
Wow.
today.
Yeah.
And the hours are better. Like I don't at 5 o'clock I tend to close my computer and be
That's
done.
beautiful. Okay. That
You
literally,
know,
wow.
on the weekends, there's people that are not going to harass you typically on the weekends. But I'm only speaking for what I do in my agency in the federal government. But yes, the work-life balance is way better. I mean, people are understanding. I don't have to build my life around my job. Like the job understands if I need to go to the doctor, that's fine. If I need to go take a couple days off, that's okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, the work-life balance is way better and the quality of life. And I think work-life balance is fine, but I think the overall quality of your life, and I think the ability to be able to again go to that happy hour,
Yes.
5:30 with your friends, is something that was important to me. I mentioned early on that I wanted to be like the hotshot news correspondent. I wanted to be the main anchor at a station at some point in my career. But then it set with me. It was like, well, the main anchor at a station typically is working from 2:30 to 11:30, that shift. And they're
Mhm.
not at home with their families at dinner, typically.
Right.
I mean, they might be able to, go in between newscasts, but they're not a happy hour because they're on TV at 6 o'clock.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So it was like, well, what does the means to an end here? And then if I was the morning anchor, well, shoot, I'm gonna be asleep, in the
Speaks to the
evening.
offense. Okay. No,
So
that's real.
it's this trade-off. And so I admire people who are able to stay in the industry and who have been able to sustain families. And people talk about the sacrifices that they've had to make. And you have to have somebody in your life, children, a spouse, partner, who understands the sacrifice because not everybody gets it. Not all families and spouses and partners get it. They don't understand or maybe appreciate the fact that you might have to move around a little bit,
Yeah.
geographically to get ahead. They may
Hmm.
not be able to take that leap with you. So I'm in a space now where I'm able to be more comfortable. I have a lot more stability. Um, the amount of money I can make is sort of, I won't say unfettered, but I can make the same good money that I would make in news with
Yeah.
sort of some of the other stressors of not having the balance or not having
Wow.
quality of life.
Yes, that sounds peaceful.
And I
Praise
can eat
God.
lunch like a normal person. You know what I mean? Like that was important to me. Like
You don't have to like scarf it down your
I
throat.
got tired of like not eating. Like I probably lost weight reporting
Oh,
because it was like
wow.
you don't have time to eat.
At all. No,
Or
my
you
mom,
eating your two-piece Chick-fil-A tender because you can't afford four
I'm
from your
screaming.
from your from the driver's seat
Woo.
while you're riding a package. It's not,
Hello. My God.
yeah.
Thankfully, I get a dinner break. So since I'm night side, so from like 2 to 11 or 2 to like 11:30, I get like a little dinner break. I mean, a lot of times I'll finish up early if I can, like at 9:30 or 10 and then go get dinner. But wow, you are speaking a lot of truth. Wow. Don, I am so proud of you. It's given like you're thriving. You're in DC, you're doing so good. What are some of your goals in 2025?
That was in 2025. Oh my goodness. Um,
Or maybe even something that you want to do, whether that's professional, personal, travel.
yeah, I mean, in 2025, one of the things that I really want to lean into is traveling a lot more. I have some things on my bucket list. I want to go to South Africa next year and to Portugal and to Costa Rica next year. I have not been to any of those places. And I really want to get back to Brazil. I've been to Brazil a couple of times, but I've only been to Rio and to one other city. But I want to go to Bahia, which is where a lot of the enslaved Africans went, or they were taken to rather. And so the descendants are there. And so it's a really, really black city. So I really want to go to Bahia at some point. But 2025, I really want to work on building my own personal company, building out my own consulting. One of the things that I want to do long term is to really own my own firm or practice of sorts. And so that's what I really want to do. And then just getting exercising, eating right, all those good things, and
Yes.
just being more intentional about my relationships with other people.
Amen. Wow. Amen. Thank you so much, Don. Anything else you want to add or mention?
No, this was great. I think that I have had a wonderful run in my career. I'm excited about where it goes. I feel like I've lived 10 lives since I've graduated.
My God.
College. I mean, I've gone to college. I went back to school to get a graduate degree. Probably will go back to school again to get another one at some point.
Wait,
But
when did you get did you already graduate from your master's?
yeah, I got my master's over 2 years ago.
Oh, oh my God. I'm so okay.
Yeah.
Did you go to your graduation?
Mhm.
Oh, I'm okay. Okay, congrats. That's
Thank you.
dope.
I can send you pictures from there too if you want me to.
Please. Okay, and I can insert that into the video. Okay. Wow. What'd you get your master's in?
So I got it in political psychology
Okay.
because at the time when I was in news, my idea was that I would combine like political psych and television and like work to be like a commentator
Mhm.
in the space or do more public thought or writing, things like that. That was the idea. And I still could do that, but that's why I got it.
Wow. Do you see yourself staying in DC, like as far as like living long term?
No, I don't really. I mean, I I would love to stay as long as it makes sense career-wise, but I do know that I want to get back home to Atlanta and take the tools that I learned here back home.
Oh,
I think
wow.
plus everybody's there, my family's there, everybody's there. So I do want to take the tools that I learned here, take
Yeah.
them back home and like really establish down there.
Wow. Okay. I'm here for it. Well, Don, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, a blessing, even just being friends with you. I really appreciate our friendship, your advice. I've called you on some nights back in my first market or second market where it's been trying times. So I'm just very grateful and appreciative of our friendship. So thank you so much.
I appreciate you.
Yes.